welcome to Second Act Freelance. Today we're going to continue on our journey of thinking about what it takes to be a freelancer, not just as far as the mechanics of it, which we will go into later on, but today we want to focus on, from an internal perspective, what it is that we need to do to be a freelancer, along with some tools, in particular one tool that will help us prepare ourselves for that. In the past, we've gone through and talked a little bit about the question, am I ready to be a freelancer? What are those crucial questions to ask myself if freelancing is the right thing for me, if it's the right time for it, based on a few different criteria, money, time, etc. But today we're going to talk a little bit about making the assumption we've taken the plunge or decided to take the plunge into freelancing. What are the things about me that I can leverage to be successful in freelancing? If you haven't had a chance, you can go to secondactfreelance.com and download a free ebook there that does go through all of the steps. I've got 8 different things to look at as far as things to consider when wanting to be a freelancer, or once you've started doing some freelancing, what are some ways you can leverage your skills to be the most successful you can. So that's at secondactfreelance.com. And you can download that totally for free there. I'm not going to show up at your house with a tray of brownies or anything like that looking to sell you anything else. But man, those would be good, some brownies, right? Anyways, that's an old church joke when people, you go to church and they fill in the little card and says, give us your name and your address and your phone number. We're not going to call you and bother you. And the truth is, why would you want my name, address, and phone number if you weren't going to call me or bother me or show up at my house? But anyways, that's a side note. Let's go into a little bit more details of what we're talking about today. So when it comes to freelancing, when it comes to anything in life, one of the things that I think is always important to do is to take a look at myself internally and what are my assets and my liabilities, my old accountant coming out there, to myself, to address and to understand so that I can be the best I can be at what I want to do. When it comes to freelancing, what we're going to do today is look at a tool. It's a SWOT analysis. And if you haven't heard of a SWOT analysis before, it's SWOT, stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so we're going to break each of those down. And today, at least, I want to sort of internally focus on a SWOT analysis as far as my strengths, my weaknesses, my opportunities, and the threats. Now, not just mine. We're not going to just focus on me here, but for you, for me, what it is internally. There's also external things that matter. For example, when we're looking at what type of freelancing do we want to do, what specific activities, how do we want to package ourselves, market ourselves, and what that offer is that we're putting out there. Certainly, we can use a SWOT analysis externally to be able to look at it from a marketing perspective and say, what is it that the market needs right now? And so based on strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in the bigger market, in the area that I play in, and the type of work I do, what are those things? And so I can leverage those to make sure I package up what I want to do in a way that's helping the most people in the most impactful way possible. But today, we're going to go internal, deep down inside, grab a box of tissues, and we'll get started. I'm kidding. I don't think you're going to cry during this. Maybe you will. I cry sometimes for no reason, but I don't think you're going to cry while we're doing this. But no judgment if you do. So beyond the babble, we'll start at the very top, and which is our strengths. I love, when I think of strengths, I wish I could remember who said this because it's totally awesome. When you think of your personal strengths, when it comes to freelancing or packaging yourself to be a freelancer, one of the great things I like, one of the questions I like to ask is, what is my unfair advantage? And I think you can use this in business in any sense. You can use it for a company too. But what's my unfair advantage? What is it that I am good at or better at than most other people? And how does that impact and serve the most people with the greatest level of impact, provide the most value, basically? So that's the first question when it comes to strengths is, what is my unfair advantage? What is if I don't put a ton of effort in, I'm just being me. What are the things that matter to me? And so here in the top left quadrant, we'll want to sort of list those out. By the way, this slide is just sort of a guideline. A piece of paper is a great idea too. Stephen Pressfield has an excellent, I don't even know if it's a course, but an excellent idea or framework around when you start something new, you should boil it down into a fool's cap. And a fool's cap basically is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I think it's different in Europe, but it's basically one side of one sheet of paper and being able to boil down what it is you want to do and the steps you're going to take to do it into that one piece of paper. And I think with the SWOT analysis, with this slide is a great framework to see it, grabbing one sheet of paper, dividing it into 4 sections, and sort of constraining ourselves to those 8.5 by 11 for our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats is a really good way to try to boil things down, distill them, and put them in one space. So you can use this. You can use this slide. By the way, it's in the link to it is in the show notes below. You can also go to secondactfreelance.com and grab that, or you can just make your own and draw 4 quadrants on a piece of paper. But in that top left quadrant, what is my unfair advantage, and what is it that I'm really better at than other people? And if you feel uncomfortable about that, just what am I really good at that I think people might be interested in paying me money to do that they may not pay other people money to do? You can come to that from different places, what other people have said to you about what you're good at, maybe in your job when you have your annual review, or if you think about what is it that people come to me for at work on a regular basis, that could be good too. But when it comes to freelancing, I want you to broaden that a little bit too, because at work it's very specific into just your company, what that is. Try to make it more generic as far as, and this doesn't have to be generic outside of what you do. You're an attorney and you work in a certain type of law and you do certain things. Perfectly fine to keep it in there if that's what you want to do for freelancing. But what is it within there that is your unfair advantage? What unique qualities do you have? That type of thing. So then the next one, weaknesses. And you know what? I always love this question when you go to a job interview. What are your weaknesses? Being bad at answering dumb job interview questions. That's probably one of my greatest weaknesses. And I've used that in job interviews before because the truth is it is a dumb question. Not what are your weaknesses being dumb, but the way we frame it up, which is tell me the things about you that I should know that makes you not good for this job. That is dumb. You can feel free to go to secondactfreelance.com and leave me a comment or an email if you disagree. But and I may be wrong, probably. So very arrogant. That's another reference for another time. A joke though. But weaknesses, I'm not looking at it as what are the things that I'm not good at so I can tell the world what I'm not good at. When I say weaknesses, what we're really talking about is what areas are you, it's just not your strong thing. And it may be at work, and we forget this because we have a job and there's certain job requirements and there's like these 18 things we have to do, and 5 of which we're not really good at, but we just get it done because the job needs it. But when you move into freelancing, that doesn't have to be the case. You can pick what it is you want to do, the areas you want to work in, and you can leverage the things you're good at by also not doing the things you're not good at. And that's when I think of internal weaknesses in this exercise, looking at that. What's great though, is not only do we have the opportunity to look at this and say, okay, what am I not good at so I can not do? There may still be things that have to get done or would be of value to your clients. So then the other question, which is on here, is what is it that I don't want to do that I could have somebody else do? In your job, that might not work out so well because now you're lowering your value. But when it comes to freelancing, clients don't care if you do it or somebody else does it. If it's the person that's best at it and it provides value, that's what they want. So when I think of weaknesses, I'm not even here really talking about things I need to improve on. Let's just go with what we're good at already and leverage that but know the things that I'm not good at so I can either not do them or have somebody else do them and partner up with them when I'm providing my freelance services. If there's nothing else you get today, I say hone in on that piece. Focus on that when you think about freelancing and use that to set yourself up for success by not doing the stuff you don't like to do so that you're not dreading doing the work each day, but be able to use that sort of paradigm shift there of this is my own ticket. I get to write the script on it. And if I don't like doing it, I get somebody else to do it. And I still provide the service to a client, which is something I can't do in a job very easily. The next one is opportunity, which sort of flows into that as we just talked about. What are my weaknesses and the things I don't do, and what are my strengths and the things I like and can do. And then opportunities, we're going a little bit into the market side of things, which is using those first two, the strengths and weaknesses. Where do I fit in? Where do I provide value? Alex Ramozi has a excellent book. It's the $100 million offer. And essentially the whole book, no spoiler alert here for you, but you can read the table of contents. So you can use AI to summarize the whole book if you want. So not really a spoiler. Essentially though, the whole idea behind the book is how do I create an offer that is so good that you have to be crazy to not accept that? And that's what you're doing with your opportunity section here is what are the things that I'm so good at and leaving out the things I don't want to do that I can provide huge leverage and huge value to a client with and have that be my opportunity. If you spend all of your time, and we will talk later about the next couple of episodes, how to get your first client, how to package up your things for marketing purposes, but keeping it simple. If I look into the market, I look at internally what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And I say to myself, okay, what is it that I can offer? What's that offer I'm putting forward? That's my opportunity. And if I have such a great offer, if I spend as much time as possible on the opportunity, that melding of who I am and what the market is, and I come up with something that jives really well with that, the selling's easy because you're selling something to somebody who you know who they are and you know what they want. And that's where that opportunity comes in. So in this section, I would list out using my skills and those types of things. What are the things I can do? What's that offer look like that I can provide? Maybe a little bit of what's happening in the market today and what trends are happening, what things are changing in the market that I can sort of ride the wave on and make life easier on myself to make it easier to sell things to other people. And then the last piece, which is threats. And this is, again, you could look at this from an external perspective, but today we're going to look at it from an internal perspective and look at threats as far as the threats that could have a negative impact on my freelancing career. And those threats, because we're talking internal, are the things inside of me. Again, back to my weaknesses a little bit, but weakness is, what am I not great at? But in this case, threats are what are the things that I know that can crop up in my life, my business, and my work that I need to keep an eye on. And I would use the word mitigate here so that I can mitigate their impact on my freelancing. So I haven't given an example for the first three. I probably should have. It would have been much more impactful. You probably would have been much more excited. You would have clicked the subscribe button and everything. And now I'm just awash and regret. But we'll try to rectify it right here and look at that threat personally as an example of what is a threat. One thing is I like to overcomplicate things. And by overcomplicating things, I can go, instead of going first to market, I can be about 18th to market and look at the first 17 people and talk about what they did wrong or what they did right and say, I could have done that. I had that idea. So one of my threats is internally is that piece of it is not getting simple quicker and going with a minimum viable product sooner. Now you might be watching this podcast today and saying, well, you've obviously accomplished that. This is about as minimally viable of a product as you can create. There's junk behind you over there. There's guitars over there. Your lighting's not great. and you're having a bad hair day, but you still put the podcast out anyways. And so I am overcoming it somewhat there. But anyways, uh, so that's threats and looking at it that way. And we've talked about it throughout here, but a little bit to think about on all four of the quadrants here, which is how do I leverage my strengths? How do I address my weaknesses? How do I leverage my strengths into my opportunities? How do I take my weaknesses as my threats and also leverage those either to have somebody else do the work, not do the work, minimize the importance of the work, whatever that is, and put all of those together. So a couple action steps out of this, beyond just there's your sheet of paper, there you go. Hopefully you'll take those four quadrants and actually spend some time thinking through those things. It certainly doesn't hurt to ask other people about these things, but I will say that sometimes in life, we show to other people, or other people choose to only filter things through their lens and only see certain things in certain ways. So if I were to ask somebody, hey, what's one of my superhero powers, or what is one of the things that is an unfair advantage for me that may share things with you that you help them with that is important to them? It's not the same question that you are trying to ask yourself. So while it's great to ask other people things, spending some time getting really deep with yourself about these four areas is helpful. Once you've done that, once you feel really good about it, sure, feel free to bounce that off other people. If you're stuck maybe with some of the areas, feel free to bounce it off other people. But this is an internal exercise, so make sure you do it for yourself and you don't just go to others and expect them to do the work for you, because the work in this case is definitely the most important part. Once you've done the work, once you've created this document, the SWOT analysis, and you've reflected on it well, that's really your framework for going into freelancing and how you're going to package yourself up. So you can start to think about that, start to write out some ideas on how you plan to leverage those in the world of somebody throwing cash at you for doing the work. And in a couple episodes, we're going to talk through that as far as how to market yourself, how to differentiate yourself, and all those types of things. But we're going to use this SWOT analysis for that purpose. So as far as this week, things to do, work that out, do your SWOT analysis. If you have any questions about it, there's two ways that I can help. One is you can sign up for our newsletter and also grab that ebook where I go into more detail on the SWOT analysis in there, and then also how to use it coming out the back end. And then also the other area, if you're looking for a more hands-on approach, want to get there quicker type of thing, you can fill out our coaching request form. And if you've watched the show before, you know that Hour is this mouse that I keep in my pocket, and I don't even have a pocket today. So that analogy is broken down in multiple ways. But if you're interested, you can fill out the coaching request form. This is not you fill out a form and you get hammered with a bunch of sales stuff. It truly is is now the time for you to have a coach for freelancing? Am I the person to work with you? And is it the kind of thing you want to do? Also, am I able to help? Because if I can't, it is really frustrating, and I don't want to put that on you or onto me. But those are the two areas. Sign up for the newsletter, grab the ebook, and then the other one is the coaching request form. Or if you just have questions, you can ask them on the website too. So that's about it. As far as some things to take away from this, if you think about it, knowledge is power. You hear people say that all the time. But knowing your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats truly is the beginning of knowing how to beat the crowd, how to differentiate yourself, and standing up above everybody else. The great news is you have all the tools to do that already. And the most important thing is understanding it about you, and who knows you better than you.